A cedar plank, a graphite rod, two wooden halves glued together. You've held one of these your entire life without giving it a second thought. You pressed it into lined paper in second grade, doodled with it in meeting margins, chewed the eraser down to the metal ferrule on an unremarkable Tuesday. The pencil is so ordinary, it has become invisible. But there was a time when this object was seized by the crown, guarded by armed soldiers, and flooded underground to prevent theft. A time when a single deposit of it could shift the outcome of war. A time when carrying one onto a spacecraft could kill a man. It contains no lead. It never did. How something this unremarkable became this consequential? The answer changes more than you'd expect. Welcome to Object Lore, where history hides inside the things you use every day without a second glance. Today's object is likely within arm's reach right now. You call it a lead pencil. You assume that name tells you something accurate about what's inside. And it sounds entirely reasonable. The core is gray, metallic-looking, and has been called lead for centuries. That's a perfectly logical conclusion. But the graphite in a pencil has never contained elemental lead. Not once. In the 18th century, Swedish chemist Carl Wilhelm Scheele confirmed that graphite and lead were entirely different materials. And in 1789, German geologist Abraham Gottlob Werner formally named the mineral graphite, from the Greek graphein, meaning to write. The words lead pencil are a centuries-old case of mistaken identity that somehow became permanent. And that confusion, it turns out, was only the beginning. Imagine a hillside near Seathwaite, Cumbria, northern England, sometime around 1565. Shepherds grazing their flocks discover something strange in the soil, a dark, slippery mineral unlike anything they'd seen. They begin using it to mark their sheep. Within a generation, word had spread far beyond the hillside. Artists across Europe noticed it left a clean, precise, erasable line. By the 16th and 17th centuries, works made with pure graphite sticks, wrapped in string or sheepskin, were circulating through studios and courts, known as plumbago drawings, named for the Latin word for lead ore. Merchants, meanwhile, noticed something more urgent. Graphite could line the molds used to cast cannonballs with exceptional precision. That second use changed everything. Graphite's military value made it one of the most tightly controlled substances in England. The Crown seized the Borrowdale mines. Armed guards were posted at the entrance. When sufficient stores had been stockpiled, the mines were deliberately flooded to prevent theft. One historical theory holds that the term black market traces back to this era. Graphite turned smugglers' hands visibly black as they moved it. Around 1560, Italian couple Simonio and Lindiana Bernacotteri had designed the first wood-encased pencil, hollowing out a juniper rod and fitting graphite inside. A superior method followed. Two carved wooden halves, a graphite stick between them, glued. That is, in all essential ways, still the method used today. England held a near-total monopoly on quality pencil production for over a century. In Nuremberg, merchants found their workaround. Friedrich Stadler, whose name still appears on pencils sold worldwide, began manufacturing pencils from powdered graphite mixed with wax, sulfur, and antimony by 1662. They were inferior to the English product, but they existed, and that gap would soon be closed by war. Here's what most people assume about the pencil. It's an art supply, a classroom tool, something fundamentally soft and civilian. That assumption is historically catastrophic. By the late 18th century, access to quality pencils had become a matter of national security. Britain imposed a naval blockade on France during the Revolutionary Wars. No ships, no trade, no English graphite. French armies carried pencils that crumbled. French cartographers could not map terrain with precision. The blockade had effectively disabled French technical capacity, and Napoleon's government knew it. They tasked inventor and army officer Nicolas Jacques Conté with finding a solution. In 1795, Conté mixed powdered graphite with clay, formed the mixture into rods, and fired them in a kiln. By adjusting the ratio of graphite to clay, he could control hardness. More clay produced a harder, lighter line. More graphite created a darker, softer mark. Conté patented the method and founded the company Conté à Paris, which still operates today. A parallel method had been independently developed in Austria by Joseph Hardtmuth, founder of Koh-I-Noor Hardtmuth, whose patent followed in 1802. This innovation ended Britain's monopoly permanently. Solid Cumbrian graphite was no longer required to make a high-quality pencil. The last Borrowdale mine closed in 1891, and the grading system Conté invented, adjusting clay content to alter the character of the line, survives almost unchanged in every H&B pencil sold today. But what those letters actually stand for turns out to be contested. H for hardness, B for blackness, right? That's what everyone says. So why does Koh-I-Noor insist the H stands for Hardtmuth and the B for Budiovis, the town where their factory stood? The pencil's story was never just about writing. And this is where it gets strange. Fast forward to 1965, Houston, Texas. NASA is preparing to put men on the moon, and they face a problem that sounds almost embarrassing. How do astronauts write things down in space? The assumption, the one that circulated for decades, appeared in newspaper columns and surfaced on The West Wing in 2002, goes this: NASA spent millions developing a space pen, while the clever Soviets simply handed their cosmonauts pencils. The perfect cautionary tale about government waste. It is completely wrong. NASA's own records show that American astronauts originally used pencils, just like Soviet cosmonauts. In 1965, NASA ordered 34 mechanical pencils from Houston's Tycam Engineering Manufacturing at $128.89 each. When those prices went public, the outcry was immediate. But the price scandal obscured something more serious. Pencils were genuinely dangerous in zero gravity. Graphite tips broke and flaked, sending particles drifting in microgravity where they could damage instruments or be inhaled. Pencils are flammable, a fact NASA had become acutely aware of following the Apollo 1 cabin fire. And yes, I know what you're thinking. The mightiest space program in human history, undone by a sharpener problem. You're welcome. The solution came from a private investor. Paul C. Fisher of the Fisher Pen Company spent approximately $1 million of his own money developing a pressurized pen that could write in zero gravity, in temperatures from -50 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. NASA didn't commission it. Fisher built it, adopted the same pen for their Soyuz missions. They paid the identical bulk discount as NASA, $2.39 per unit. The story was never about ingenuity versus bureaucracy. It was about a pencil that simply wasn't safe. Today, over 14 billion pencils are manufactured worldwide every year. Most are painted yellow, and that too carries a history. The tradition began in 1890 when the Austrian company L&C Hardtmuth introduced their Koh-I-Noor brand, then among the world's most expensive pencils. Yellow, at the time, evoked the Orient, a deliberate signal of prestige, tied to the belief that the finest graphite came from Siberia. Competing manufacturers copied the color. It spread. The entire global association between pencils and the color yellow traces back to one marketing decision made in Vienna, over 130 years ago. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Henry David Thoreau, philosopher, naturalist, author of Walden, spent years quietly improving pencil lead quality at his father's factory in Concord, Massachusetts, mixing locally sourced New Hampshire graphite with clay. The pencil shaped American literature. Companies founded during the era of Napoleonic blockades, Staedtler, Faber-Castell, Koh-I-Noor, Conté, still manufacture the pencils in your drawer today. The object has barely changed. Everything around it has. So the next time you pick up a pencil, consider what you're actually holding. A tool born from military necessity, shaped by blockades and black markets, refined by an army officer during wartime, nearly banned from spacecraft, called lid for 5 centuries, despite never containing any. You assume the pencil is humble. It is, But it outlasted empires, crossed oceans, and survived the space age with no fundamental redesign. Every mark it leaves can be erased. And yet, the pencil itself, its reach, its quiet persistence, its centuries of consequence, leaves a mark that nothing can remove. If the pencil surprised you, wait until we get to the next object, something else hiding in plain sight. Drop a comment below. What everyday object do you think has a darker history than anyone expects? We'd love to know. This is Object Lore. The history of the world is hiding in plain sight. Until next time.